All idolatry is therefore the greatest madness of mankind and a terrible blindness. For in the end the strict idolaters think themselves to be gods, and have incense spread around them, and have themselves worshipped as gods, and this is Satan's triumph in the human heart. But woe betides those imagined self-worshippers in their utter delusion. Their fate will one day be very sad, for such arrogance is a worm that never dies, and a fire that never goes out. I tell you, it is Satan's delight to get the blind people as far as possible away from the order of God through the arrogance planted in them, but if they one day become disciples of his school, he will repudiate them, and use them for his lowest and most abominable services, in which they have to remain for eternity according to his most evil will. Satan, as Prince of Darkness, allows man to be exalted to gods here, only to degrade them to become one day his lowest most horrible creatures. But God demands here a wise and humble heart, in order to lift man even higher and to give him greater bliss. Such power will, of course, be taken from Satan, and the people will be able to act fully independently, and free according to their will, thereby the good will shine all the more, and those who are themselves evil will end up in even worse and lower parts of hell, for their evilness will not be recorded on Satan's ledger, but on their very own, and they will be dealt with all the more harshly by Satan and his servants. It is, therefore, every man's foremost duty, in all humility of his heart, to seek God in spirit and in truth, and only after he has found him to worship God also in spirit and in truth. But the main prayer should consist of the humble heart remaining humble, and loving one's neighbor more than oneself, but God above all as the one true Father of all people and angels. But no one can love God in his dark flesh, while at the same time hating his brother, for how could someone possibly love God, whom he does not see, while not loving his brother, whom he sees? But it is by no means enough to say, I love my neighbor, and am very friendly to him. The true and only valid love before God must consist of deeds when the neighbor needs them, spiritually or physically. This love is the magic key to the light from God in one's own heart. From zyworld.com, Lobber in English / Great Gospel of John, Volume 3. Next quote. Conjugal love, by Acton number 125. That the husband does not represent the Lord, and the wife the church, because both together, the husband and his wife, make the church. It is a common saying in the church that, as the Lord is the head of the church, so the husband is the head of the wife, from which it would follow, that the husband represents the Lord and the wife the church. But the Lord is the head of the church, and man, and woman, and still more husband and wife together, are the church. With these, the church is first implanted in the man, and through the man in his wife, for the man receives its truth in his understanding, and the wife receives it from the man. If the reverse is the case, it is not according to order. Sometimes, however, it is the case, but with men, who are not lovers of wisdom, and therefore are not of the church, also with those who depend as slaves on the bidding of their wives. But of this matter, something may be seen in the preliminaries, number 21. Next. The idea of the eternal in marriage, number 216. That those who are in love truly conjugal look to what is eternal in marriage, not so those who are not in conjugal love. That those who are in love truly conjugal look to what is eternal, is because eternity is in the love, its eternity being due to the fact that it increases to all eternity with the wife, as also does wisdom with the husband. In this increase or progression, the partners enter ever more deeply into that blessedness of heaven which their wisdom and the love thereof simultaneously store up within themselves. Therefore, if the idea of what is eternal were to be taken away, or if by any chance it should slip from their minds, it would be as though they were cast down from heaven. As for myself, the nature of the state with married partners in heaven when the idea of what is eternal falls from their minds, and in its place comes an idea of what is temporal, came into the open from the following experience. Once, when two married partners from heaven were with me by permission, a certain worthless spirit, by cunning speech, took away from them the idea of what is eternal in respect to marriage. With this gone, they began to lament, saying they could no longer live, and that they felt a wretchedness such as never before. When this was perceived by their fellow angels in heaven, the worthless spirit was removed and cast down, and with this done, the idea of what is eternal instantly came back to them, whereat they rejoiced with gladness of heart, and embraced each other with the utmost tenderness. In addition to this, I have heard two married partners who, in respect to their marriage, entertained, now the idea of what is eternal, and now the idea of what is temporal, the reason being that within them was an internal dissimilitude. When they were in the idea of what is eternal, they were in mutual gladness, but when in the idea of what is temporal, they said, it is no longer a marriage, and the wife said, I'm no longer a wife but a concubine, and the man, I'm no longer a husband but an adulterer. Therefore, when their internal dissimilitude became clear to them, the man left the woman and the woman the man, but afterwards, because both had the idea of what is eternal in respect to marriage, they were consociated with partners who were similitudes. From these experiences, it can be clearly seen that those who are in love truly conjugal look to what is eternal, and that if from inmost this slips from their thought, they are disunited as to conjugal love, though not at the same time as to friendship, for the latter dwells in externals, but conjugal love in internals. It is the same in marriages on earth. There, when the partners tenderly love each other, they think of their covenant as being eternal, and have no thought whatever concerning its end by death, and if they do think of this, they grieve, yet, at the thought of its continuance after death, they are revived by hope. Next quote. The reunion of a man and his wife. Number 158, that conjugal love conjoins two souls and thence minds into a one. Every man consists of soul, mind, and body. Being man's inmost, the soul from its origin is celestial, being his mediate, the mind from its origin is spiritual, and being his ultimate, the body from its origin is natural. Things which from their origin are celestial, and those which from their origin are spiritual, are not in space, but in the appearances of space. This, moreover, is known in the world, wherefore it is said, that neither extension nor place can be predicated of things spiritual. Since, therefore, spaces are appearances, distance, and presence also are appearances, that in the spiritual world the appearances of distance and presence are according to the nearness, relationship, and affinity of love, has been frequently pointed out, and confirmed in treatises on that world. To it is mentioned here, that it may be known, that the souls and minds of men are not in space as are their bodies, for from their origin, as said above, they are celestial and spiritual. And, not being in space, they can be conjoined as into a one, though not at the same time their bodies. This is especially the case between married partners who mostly love each other. But because woman is from man, and this conjunction is a kind of reunition, it can be seen from reason, that it is not conjunction into a one but a junction, near and close, according to the love, and, in the case of those who are in love truly conjugal, even to contact. This adjunction may be called spiritual cohabitation, and it exists with partners who tenderly love each other, however distant they are in body. There are many evidences of experience even in the natural world which confirm this. From the above it is evident that conjugal love conjoins two souls and minds into a one. Next. The creation of Eve from a rib of Adam is explained as follows in New Revelation. The rib is merely a symbol for something. That something is Adam's inner, powerful living love. Eve has arisen from the superabundance of this external life of Adam, where her delicate physical nature is concerned, and as this life feather rises like a vapor from the region of the ribs and the area of the chest, and after this surrounds man all around, and to a distance, Moses, being fully conversant with the imagery belonging to this, quite rightly had Eve arise from Adam's rib. There are a number of passages in New Revelation where more than 100 years ago, at a time when the church is still absolutely insisted that the words of the Old Testament were to be taken literally, it is said clearly and unequivocally that Moses' account of the creation in the book of Genesis can only be understood and grasped by taking the path of inner spiritual correspondences. Gramsforth 142, 2. Some works refer to man having been androgynous in the past, and this is confirmed as being true with regard to the soul and body in Adam and Eve. When the first man and woman were created, one soul became two. For it does not say that the Creator also blew living breath into Eve's nostrils, but that Eve came forth body and soul from Adam, and into this second soul too, an immortal spirit was placed, and so one human being, and one soul became two, and were yet one flesh and one soul. MP 150. The spirit, however, is not divisible, and where it has been placed in a great or a small soul, as a single entity, it also remains such an entity. However great the soul of Lucifer might once have been, no more than one spirit could dwell in it. New Revelation also makes it very clear that in the beginning only a single man and woman were placed upon the earth. I can only say to this, that of the human beings who are called upon to become the children of God, only one pair, Adam and Eve, were placed upon the earth. With this man and woman spiritual guidance was initiated by heaven, and has been continued to this very hour. It is, however, quite true and definite that beings resembling man existed also long before Adam, and such beings are still on earth today. But there is a very great difference between them, and men who are truly free since Adam. A true man is able to develop himself to become wholly like to God, and come to know God and his works through and through, compare them, judge them, and understand their purpose. But that animal man, prehistoric and early man, will never be capable of this. This first man and woman were endowed with all faculties by God. They had deep insight, a very clear intellect, and a most powerful free will before which all other creatures including predatory beasts, for example, had to bow down. Remarkably, New Revelation confirms the monogenism of Pope Pius XII. Basing himself on Acts 17:26, the Pope had declared that in Catholic dogma, the human race was descended from one man and one woman. Yet even at conferences held at Catholic academies, Catholic scholars are today expressing the view that the Bible gave no indication of numerical limitation to the first father and mother. This is incorrect, at least insofar as it says in Acts 17:26, and he made from one every nation of men to live on all the face of the earth. 9. Unfortunately, quite a number of Catholic scholars have capitulated in the face of the unproven thesis of evolutionists when there was no need to capitulate. From the Eggenstein book about Lauber's writings. Next quote. Conjugal love, by Acton number 160. That the inclination to unite the man to herself is constant and perpetual with the wife, but inconstant and alternating with the man. The reason is, because love cannot do otherwise than love, and unite itself to another, that it may be loved in return, its essence and life being nothing else. And women are born loves, but men, with whom they unite themselves, that they may be loved in return, are receptions. Moreover, love is continually working. It is like heat, flame, and fire, which perish if restrained from doing their work. Hence it is, that with a wife, the inclination to unite the man to herself is constant and perpetual. That with the man, there is not the same inclination to the wife, is because man is not love, but only a recipient of love, and the state of reception is absent or present according to interrupting cares, according to the changes of heat and non-heat in the mind from various causes, and according to the increase and decrease of virile powers in the body, and since these do not return constantly, and at set times, it follows that with men the inclination to that conjunction is inconstant and alternating. Number 161. That conjunction is inspired into the man by the wife according to her love, and is received by the man according to his wisdom. That love, and thence conjunction is inspired into the man by the wife, is at this day concealed from men, yea, is universally denied by wives. The reason is, because they persuade the men that it is they alone who love, and themselves who receive the love, or that men are loves and themselves obediences. They also rejoice in heart when the men believe this. There are many reasons why they thus persuade them, all of which pertain to the prudence and circumspection of wives. Of this, something shall be told in the following pages, and specifically in the chapter on the causes of colds, separations, and divorces between married partners.